My grandpa once told me, "Every life has its seasons, and winter isn't the end, it's the quiet before new beginnings." At that moment, I didn't understand. His words sounded poetic but distant, like something meant for another time, another version of me. I was too young to imagine that life could ever slow down or turn cold, but his eyes carried a softness that told me he knew something I didn't. When I was a child, I thought winter was a sad time. The days were short, the trees looked lifeless, and everything felt still. I used to believe that stillness meant emptiness, that the world had stopped moving, frozen in grief. But I didn't yet understand that silence can be full, that even when nothing seems alive, something within is quietly preparing to bloom again. As the years passed, I began to see the truth hidden in his words. The seasons of life weren't just about time passing. They were about transformation. Each one held a purpose, a lesson, a rhythm of its own. Life, like nature, was never still for long. It was always moving toward renewal, even in moments that felt like endings. In our youth, we are spring, restless, curious, and bursting with energy. We run toward everything, convinced the world is endless and entirely ours. Every day feels like the start of something extraordinary. We don't think about rest or loss. We only think about how much we can reach, how far we can go. Spring is full of beginnings. It's when we plant seeds of ambition and love, dreaming of what they might become. We make promises to ourselves and to others, believing we have forever to keep them. We fall, we rise, we dream again, because spring doesn't know how to stop. It only knows how to grow. Then comes summer, bright, loud, and full of motion. It's the season of doing, of chasing, of building something we can call our own. In summer, we are busy with life, with careers, relationships, and responsibilities that fill every moment. The sun feels endless, and so does our belief that we can handle everything. But summer can also be blinding. The heat of ambition can burn without mercy. We fill our calendars and our hearts until there's no space left to breathe. We mistake movement for meaning, thinking that to be still is to fall behind. Summer teaches us endurance, but sometimes at the cost of peace. We tell ourselves that happiness lives at the top of the next mountain, after the next success, or in the next tomorrow. We forget that joy is not something we have to chase. It's something we must notice. Yet it's hard to see clearly when the sun is so bright, and by the time we look up, the light has already begun to fade. Autumn arrives softly, like a whisper from the wind. It doesn't demand our attention. It simply appears, painting the world in gold and quiet. The air cools, and the pace slows. For the first time in a long while, we notice the sound of leaves beneath our feet, the beauty of what's passing, the grace in letting go. Autumn is the season of reflection. We start to measure time not by what we've gained, but by what we've learned. We find comfort in simplicity, in mornings without rush, in conversations that linger, in the gentle rhythm of breathing. It's the moment when we realize that slowing down isn't losing momentum, it's finding balance. In autumn, we begin to release what no longer serves us. The dreams we once chased may change shape, and that's okay. The trees don't mourn their leaves when they fall. They trust the cycle of renewal. And maybe we too are learning to trust, to let go without fear, to love without holding too tightly. Autumn reminds us that beauty doesn't always mean growth. Sometimes it means grace. It's not the season of beginnings, but of understanding. The colors of fall teach us that endings can be breathtaking too. The world glows before it rests, reminding us that letting go can be an act of love. Then, gently, winter arrives. There's no rush, no fanfare, just a soft quiet that settles over everything. The air is crisp, the nights are long, and the world seems to exhale. The noise that once filled our lives fades, leaving only the essentials: memory, warmth, and presence. Winter is the season of stillness. It's the time when the soul sits down to rest, when reflection becomes its own kind of prayer. We look back, not with regret, but with gratitude, for the paths we walked, the hands we held, and the moments that made it all worthwhile. The cold somehow feels tender. In winter, we stop chasing and start listening. The world outside may be frozen, but within us, something glows. It's the quiet fire of understanding. That peace isn't the absence of movement, but the presence of meaning. Every silence becomes sacred. Every memory becomes warmth. We begin to see love differently. In youth, love was fire, wild, passionate, and consuming. In winter, love becomes snow, soft, steady, and enduring. It no longer burns, it comforts. It wraps itself around us like a blanket, not loud, but lasting. Love in winter doesn't fade, it deepens. It settles into the heart, becoming part of who we are. It reminds us that warmth doesn't need to come from the sun. It can come from the people and memories that remain. Winter teaches us the beauty of enough. We no longer crave more time, more things, more validation. We begin to understand that contentment isn't having everything. It's realizing we already do. Simplicity becomes luxury. Silence becomes music. There is peace in the slowness of winter. The long nights invite reflection, not loneliness. The stillness allows space for gratitude. For every season we've lived through, every joy and every sorrow that shaped us into who we are. Perhaps that's what aging truly is. Not a decline, but a deepening. We stop asking, what's next, and start asking, what matters? We trade speed for serenity, noise for clarity, ambition for understanding. Life feels quieter, but somehow more alive than ever. As I grow older, I find myself thinking more about my grandpa's words. Maybe he wasn't warning me about winter. Maybe he was inviting me to see its beauty. To him, winter wasn't the end. It was the soul's season of rest. And now, I finally understand. Winter holds the kind of wisdom that only time can give. It teaches us that life doesn't move in a straight line. It circles, breathes, and renews itself. The endings we fear are often beginnings in disguise. When I sit by the window on cold mornings, I notice how the light still finds its way in. It may be weaker than in summer, but it's gentler too. That's the kind of light winter gives. Soft, humble, persistent. It doesn't demand attention. It simply stays. And maybe that's what the soul learns too, to shine quietly, without needing to prove anything, to be present without always striving, to simply exist and know that it's enough. Winter is not about isolation, it's about intimacy. It draws us closer, to others, to ourselves, to the small things that matter most. A warm cup of tea, the sound of laughter in another room, the memory of a touch that still lingers. There's a sacredness to this stillness. It's as if the world is whispering, "You've done enough. You can rest now." And in that rest, we finally hear what life has been trying to tell us all along, that peace was never something to find, only something to remember. Looking back, I realized that every season had its purpose. Spring gave me dreams, summer gave me strength, autumn gave me wisdom, and winter gave me peace. Each season asked something of me. Spring asked me to begin, summer asked me to build, autumn asked me to let go, and winter asked me to simply be. The beauty of it all is that no season lasts forever. Even the coldest winter eventually gives way to spring. Life renews itself, again and again, teaching us that nothing truly ends. It just changes form. That's the quiet miracle my grandpa wanted me to see. That the rhythm of life is not about clinging, but trusting. Not about holding on, but opening up. Every falling leaf, every fading light, every line on our faces, all of it belongs to the same song. The melody doesn't stop. It simply changes key. And when I think of him now, I imagine he's somewhere in that endless cycle, part of the wind that stirs the trees, part of the light that touches the snow. His voice still echoes, gentle and sure. Every life has its seasons. Perhaps that's why winter doesn't scare me anymore. I've learned to see its beauty, not in what ends, but in what remains. Winter is not emptiness. It's memory. It's love, resting quietly beneath the frost. The soul, too, needs its winters. Moments to pause, to breathe, to remember who we've become. Without them, we'd never appreciate spring when it returns. So when the world feels cold, I remind myself that warmth is never gone. It's just waiting to be felt again. The fire doesn't die. It just burns deeper, quieter, wiser. Maybe that's what it means to live. Not to chase endless summers, but to embrace every season fully. To bloom, to blaze, to fall, to rest, and to find beauty in each one. Because happiness was never about how fast we moved, but how deeply we lived. It was never about the length of our days, but the depth of our moments. And when winter finally comes for me, I hope I'll greet it the way my grandpa did, not with fear, but with peace. Because he was right all along. Winter isn't the end, it's the quiet before new beginnings.